180 watts of blinding RGBW colors. Jerry back with that theatrically Jerry, and today we are going to be reviewing UKING ZQ01322. This is a 180 watt RGBW stage blinder. Included with purchase is the user manual. There are some spelling errors on here, so that was kind of comical to me. It says it's a 4P staining lamp in 2 eyes. I'm assuming that means that it's a 4-color 2-eye blinder. But anyways, it's the user manual included with it, so definitely keep it. It does have your DMX channel table for the 8-channel mode, and it is also available in several different languages, so that's kind of cool. And you're also getting a PowerCon power connector. Finally, a light manufacturer has designed a affordable light that uses PowerCon instead of an IEC power cable, so +1 for that, guys. So this is actually a super compact and portable fixture. It measures in at 8.66 inches long by 5.4 inches tall by 5.5 inches deep. So the dimensions are super compact. It's shaped like a rectangular speaker. It weighs in at 3.08 pounds. And that is due to its entire ABS plastic shell construction. The front of this fixture features 2 polycarbonate or acrylic lenses. They have a stylish silver ring around each eye. So the lenses aren't glass, but they do have a textured look to them. And the texture is actually little micro lenses that help direct the light outwards from the light fixture. Behind the lens is a polished aluminum reflector, and that helps to create a wide 40-degree beam angle. Wide beam angles are super important for blinders, so I was glad to see that they have incorporated that, and we'll look at it later on in the review. The LED engine is a 90 watt RGBW or red, green, blue, and white cob or chip on board. Each eye contains one for a total of 180 watts of light output. You are also getting a yoke or mounting bracket with one M8 mounting hole that's right here. So you can put a C-clamp on this. You are also getting these little thumb screws here. I do wish they were much larger, however they're not. They're also plastic. The actual mounting bracket here is metal, so that is one thing on here that's metal, so I was glad to see that. The bracket allows for you to tilt this fixture up or down, so you can definitely tilt this, and if you have the C-clamp that can rotate, you can also rotate this fixture for a portrait style, or you can do landscape style, so horizontal or vertical for mounting this fixture. So let's go ahead and check out the back of this fixture. The UKING ZQ01322 has a neatly laid out I/O and back panel, as you can see here. Dead center is your traditional LCD display here. This is actually built up of LEDs, so it's not a liquid crystal display in that sense. There is a blue overlay here, and the font is going to be red, or the LEDs behind it. So I like this new blue look to the LED display instead of the red glass with the red font, because it's much easier to see. It's a better contrast. Directly below it are your menu, up, down, and enter buttons, and they're actually not super small. They're still small, but they're easier to press than some of the other fixtures I have reviewed, so I was glad to see that. To the left of the LED display here is your built-in microphone, and it's labeled mic. To the left of that is your PowerCon power in and out, and this is going to allow you to daisy chain the power for these light fixtures. And over here on the right is your 3-pin DMX in and out, and that's going to allow you to daisy chain your data. So you can send your DMX data from one of these light fixtures to the other. And they have also included a tag here. It says product name, stage light. It's also giving you the model number as well as the quality control date stamp on it. So these are just some details that they've added to this light fixture. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the user navigation menus. I'm going to go ahead and power this on. This is another one of those light fixtures that doesn't have an on or off switch, so in order to turn it on, you do need to just plug it into power. I've now plugged it in. It's going to start up. All right, so our first menu is very typical. If you haven't watched my reviews, A always means address, and that is going to be to address your DMX channel number. So you can go anywhere from 1 to 512, and then when you hit enter, it'll say save, like you saw earlier. Our next menu is CC, which means color change. This is going to allow the light fixture to go through all of its available colors. And next to it is these numbers here, and they go all the way up to 99. 99 being the fastest for color change, and 1 being the slowest. Our next menu is color gradient. I'm not entirely sure why they chose the letters DE for that. But again, 99 being the fastest and 1 being the slowest. Our next menu is going to be CP, which is color pulse. And again, 99 being the fastest and 1 being the slowest. Our next menu is for sound. So we have SO01. There are 3 voice control modes that you can select here. So you can select 1 or 3 or 2, and they're just going to give you different looks to the sound. And SE is going to be your sound sensitivity, and that goes anywhere from 1 being the least sensitive to 15 being the most sensitive. So that is our sound sensitivity menu. Our next menu is very typical. R meaning red, 255 meaning the DMX channel's value. So you can go anywhere from 0 meaning the red's off to 255 meaning red at full. I'm going to turn it off. Our next is going to be green, and again 255 at full. 0 means it's off. Blue, again 255 full, 0 off. And U, and they always select U, I guess because they can't write a W on this with the really low quality LED display here, but U always means white. So again, from 0 to 255. Our last menu is strobe, and you can select anywhere from 0 to 99, and 99 means the strobe's going to be at its highest refresh rate. And then we're back to the main menu here. So not a whole lot of options on this light fixture. It's perfect for beginners, easy to navigate the system. One thing I do want to point out to you guys is that there is right here a steel fisheye, and this is to run your safety cable through. So I was glad to see that they've included some safety features on this light fixture. I've went ahead and lowered the studio lighting so we can test out the LEDs on this 180 watt blinder. So we're going to first test out the dimmer, and the ZQ01322 has a 0 to 100% linear dimming system. So let's see how well it's capable of dimming, as well as the fade to black. I'm going to go ahead and bring up red first. So I'm going to bring red to 100%. This is actually a pretty bright blinder, especially at this price point. Even the red is very bright. We're going to bring it down to 0 and see how well it fades. You don't see a whole lot of stepping at all, so the actual dimmer is actually decent. You do get a little bit of stepping at the lower end here. So for instance, 1, the LED is just almost barely on, and then 0, it's off. But I'm going to go ahead and dim this at the lower end here just to show you guys the cutoff. So there is a abrupt cutoff to blackout on this. We're going to check out green now. Green is also very bright, and the dimming on this is the same as red because the dimmer actually controls, there's only one dimmer that controls all of this. So it has the same characteristics where it kind of just shuts off at 0, and then 1, the LED is slightly on. But again, at this price point, it doesn't look bad at all. Let's check out blue. Same dimming characteristics. If not slightly better than the red and green, because there's less of a snap to off at the 0 end. Let's check out white. The dimming on white's not bad either. At the lower end here, it is slightly on at 1. And then 0, it's off, but it's not really noticeable at all. Not unless you're trained to see that, which I am, and most beginners aren't going to notice it, so it's very acceptable dimming on this. I've seen some budget-friendly lights that have really bad stepping, so I was actually pleased to see that this doesn't. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and check out the strobe. This 180 watt stage blinder also has a 0 to 25 hertz strobe. Now 25 hertz for a strobe is great and very quick in terms of refresh rate. So let's see if these specs are true on this. I'm going to bring up white because white's a traditional strobe color. And then we're going to go ahead and get this to strobe. So at the lower values here on the strobe channel, you're getting about 1 strobe per second. It looks great. We're going to bring it up, and the higher up we go, the faster this is going to strobe. And we're getting up to almost max here. And I'm now at max. So the strobe refresh rate is definitely close to 25 hertz. However, it's not a true 25 hertz. I would say it's more close to 20 hertz, which still isn't bad for a budget-friendly blinder. The strobe actually looks very realistic, and there's not a whole lot of stuttering to it, which you do get on some cheaper LED light fixtures. However, when you do adjust the strobe channel, and this has always bothered me, so I'm actively adjusting it right now, and as you can see, there's no strobe. As soon as I release the fader, then it refreshes the light. So that is something that bothers me, and that's not just related to this light fixture. I've seen it on a lot of budget-friendly light fixtures with the strobe channel. Let's go ahead and maybe check out a color. So let's check out a blue strobe just to see if it's the same effect. And it does have the same high refresh rate. It looks great on this back wall in my studio. It's not a bad strobe, so I was pleased to see that on this light fixture. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and check out some of the built-in macros, and macros are shows that are programmed into the light fixture itself from the light manufacturer. So let's go ahead and just see what these look like pointed at the back wall here. So we have our color change macro, and the DMX channel right after that is going to be for speed. So you can adjust the speed of it. The one thing I don't like is I am getting a weird refresh when I'm adjusting the speed channel, as you can see there. So when I adjust the speed channel, the light's kind of strobing. It could very well be because it's not terminated. It is being controlled by a wireless DMX receiver, just because it's easier than dragging out an entire light console for this fixture. So just keep that in mind, but that is our color change. And the macro channel's a little weird. So this is value 67. The macro channel's kind of looking like it's off. Let's bump up the speed and see what that does. I believe this is going to be a fade. Yeah. So this is the fade macro. And what it's going to do is it's going to fade in between all of the available colors on this fixture. The fades actually look really smooth, and that is due in part to the really great dimmer that we looked at earlier. So you're not getting a whole lot of jumping or stepping with these fades. And that's the fade at its fastest. And we have our color pulse here, so it's going to pulse the colors that are available. I have it at the fastest setting. Let's bring it to medium pulse. So as I stated earlier, the dimmer's really not bad, and as you can see on the back wall there, you're not getting a whole lot of stepping. It's almost theater quality dimming on this light fixture. It's very close. So the dimmer looks great on this if that's something you guys are concerned about. Let's bring that speed back up. So those are all of the available macros, and there's not a whole lot of them. So you're going to get your color pulse, you're going to get your fade, you're going to get your jumps, but you're not going to get a whole lot of dynamic lighting effects with this. But I really wouldn't expect that from a blinder, so it's perfectly acceptable. Okay, so something else I like to do in my in-depth reviews is to test out the pure colors. So that is the solid LED colors that this light fixture is capable of making without mixing other colors. I like to see just how saturated they are, and also that they're at the correct wavelength. So we're going to go ahead and look at those right now. I'm going to bring red up. Red's perfectly acceptable. It looks like a nice solid red. Green's perfectly acceptable. It doesn't have that obnoxious bluish tint to it. Our blue is perfectly acceptable. It's actually a deeper blue than I've seen on other cheap, budget-friendly fixtures, so the blue is actually not bad. Check out white. The white's not bad either. It is dimmer than all of the other colors, and I noticed that with budget-friendly light fixtures, but the white's not bad, and I'm glad that they included a dedicated white, because that is something you should see on a blinder, because people do use white a lot when trying to blind their audience. So the white's not bad. The color temperature of the white is a much cooler color, so it's trying to be neutral, but it does have a little bit of a cool tint to it, as you can see on my hand here. But it's not bad. You can, of course, get a cooler tone just by mixing in some blue. So I'm going to go ahead and just make this white a cooler white. So as you can see there, now you have a cool white. And we can mix red in, but it doesn't look as good if you want to get a warmer tone. So right here is closer to neutral. And we can't push the red too far or it's going to start looking like this. It's almost like a salmon color. But you can make the cold white more neutral by just mixing a little bit of red into there. So you can get a more neutral, realistic white. You can get a cool white, and you can get the white that's default, which is right here. I would have liked to have seen a dedicated warm white, so you could get that really rich, warm, almost amber color, but you're not really going to get it with this fixture because the dedicated white is too cool. One thing I like to do is a sound test on the fixtures when I'm doing my in-depth reviews. I do have the microphone removed, so we're getting more audible sound. We are about a foot away from this light fixture. This blinder does have an active cooling system, which means the fan will kick on once the temperature threshold has been reached. We're going to go ahead and hear just how loud this is. I'm going to bring up all of the LEDs to full. And we'll wait for it to kick on here. So the active cooling system did just kick on. It's not loud at all. I'm about 2 feet away from this fixture and I can barely hear it. The fan on this is not loud, so if you're worried about having a super loud, obnoxious fan, you're not going to get it with this fixture. You can just barely hear the fan, and we are about, again, a foot away from the camera and microphone. I'm going to let it run for just a couple more seconds just to see if it makes any louder of a sound, but I don't think it's going to get much louder than this. So this is as loud as the fixture is going to get, and that's theoretical because that's me using every single LED available. If you're just using single colors, it's not going to spin the fan around as fast, and it's also not going to generate, obviously, as much heat. So keep that in mind as well. But as soon as you turn the lights off, the fan is going to shut off after it's cooled down to the threshold that it needs for cooling the lights off. So we're going to hear it shut off here in a second. So the fan did just shut off. Again, I'm going to let you hear how quiet this is. It's a very quiet light fixture. I approve on the sound test for this fixture. Alright guys, so we're going to do a distance test. We are about 15 feet away from my garage wall here, and we are going to use this blinder to see just how bright it is. So let's go ahead and take a look. So as you can see in pitch dark, it is actually a very bright light. Let's go ahead and do some different effects here. There's our white. Let's take a look at our red. I'm going to take the white out so we can do pure colors, so I can kind of give you guys an idea of how bright each pure color is. So we're going to go back to red, and then we're going to take our red out. We're going to take a look at our green. Green's very bright too. Let's take a look at our blue. Now this is actually a very large garage here, so as you can see, the beam angle is very wide on these blinders. Take our blue out, and we'll do our white. So that is our distance test. We're now going to see what it looks like from about 30 feet away. All right, so now we're about 30 feet away from this garage here. Let's go ahead and see how bright this is from 30 feet away. Again, still a very bright light. Let's go ahead and see what it looks like strobing. Let's turn up the strobe intensity there. So for a budget-friendly blinder, this is actually a pretty bright light. Again, like I said earlier, this is going to be great for small to medium-sized venues. go ahead and leave a link down below if you want to purchase one of these. I recommend, of course, purchasing multiples of these, so 5 or more. I'm going to leave the link down below in the description. If you have any questions or comments about this fixture in general, go ahead and leave it down below, and I do respond to them as quickly as I can. If you liked this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Also, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to my channel at Theatrically Jerry. I do a lot of in-depth reviews on these budget-friendly light fixtures because I do want to give you guys as much information as possible on the fixture before you go out and spend money on it. So if DJ lighting, stage lighting, equipment, atmospherics, effects, tutorials, anything like that, if that interests you, go ahead and subscribe to my channel at Theatrically Jerry and help support me and my passion for lighting in general. Thank you guys for watching.